want to challenge each and every one of you watching this to do something. The challenge is this. For the first time in your life, I want you to take your side. I want you to be on your side. No matter what you're going through in school, work, relationships, or otherwise, I want you to not be your own worst enemy. We always hear this advice disseminated online and elsewhere. Be your own worst enemy. You should be hard on yourself because that's what it takes is accountability in order to foment change. I'm going to look at this from a bit of a different perspective. I'm going to look at this through some of my own lived experiences, through the lens of someone who's been through serious trauma, and then let you take away from that what you will. But the reason I have this different perspective is in my experience, self-hatred only serves to destroy your self-esteem. That is the relationship between self-hatred and self-esteem. In order to have a positive state of being, in order to be doing what we would characterize as well or stable or doing good, we need to love ourselves. Compassion is of integral importance in order to being a positive, healthy person. Now, self-hatred is often bolstered up as this tool of change, this tool that can foment change. But self-hatred in the long term, in my view, does far more damage than it does help anything. And let me tell you a little bit about that. You see, there's a difference between self-discipline and self-punishment. It's okay to want to hold yourself accountable, to set high standards for yourself, to have a set goal that you aspire to achieve, and to take risks and to do things that improve the probability of you achieving the goals that you've outlined for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem lies with this notion that you deserve to be in pain. You deserve to be punished. If you just hated yourself more, you would have aced that test. If you would have stayed up later and neglected your sleep, you would have aced that test. If you would have put in more hours and accepted more call-ins to work, taking on more shifts, taking on more responsibility, if you would have accepted that promotion that didn't come with a raise, then maybe, just maybe, if you hated yourself that much, you'd be in a better position today. What if doing those things does more harm in the long run? What if, in some instances, you've actually made the right decision and you just don't know it? Seriously consider the difference between self-discipline and self-punishment, because one of them will help you achieve your goals. The other will do the exact opposite. It will destroy you. It will lower your self-esteem. It will decrease the probability of you achieving the goals that you aspire to achieve. And I just want to emphasize that no matter who you are, you do deserve a good life. You don't deserve to struggle. You don't deserve to be in this position where you feel like things are beyond your control, and oftentimes things are, but it gets you to a point where you hate yourself. And I've been there so frequently in my life. When I got kicked out of university due to actions taken during a manic episode, I was truly shocked. Not at the fact that I got kicked out of school, but more so at how I lost control and the extent to which I lost control of my mind, my sanity. It was gone. It took years of recovery in order to get back to this position where I am now. And what is the position I am in now? The position I'm in now is that I'm stable. I'm in school again, continuing my education. And even though things aren't going perfectly, even though things aren't impeccable, the reality is that I'm in a much better place now than I was then. But it didn't always seem like that this was possible. It didn't always seem like the life I'm living now was attainable. It felt like my life was over after that manic episode. I had embarrassed myself and lost so many relationships with friends, fraternity members, at work, and family. And I thought to myself, there's no way I could ever forgive myself. I'm undeserving of hope. I know depression is commonplace in this world. I know the pain and anguish that people suffering from depression go through because I've gone through it. Our experiences are unique and we all have our own individual idiosyncrasies, but the totality of the trauma, the effect that it has on your self-esteem, the anguish and despair that it causes, the effects it has on your outcomes in life. We all encounter these to varying degrees and on varying scales. And it's important to recognize that we aren't alone in this endeavor. On this life journey, there are other people going through the same struggles that we are. There are other people persisting through the same problems that we've already gone through. And there's going to be more problems that come. No matter what you're dealing with now, it may presently seem like the biggest obstacle of your life, and it's possible that it may very well be. But there's a very real possibility that you'll encounter more obstacles of similar size and scale or even greater size and scale. By not being hard on yourself, by loving yourself, by showing self-compassion, by believing in yourself and in your innate ability to do great things for yourself, you increase the chances that you will navigate those problems effectively, whether they be problems you're dealing with now or the problems that you're dealing with in the future. You will navigate them more effectively if you love yourself. Hating yourself isn't the answer. You can hate yourself all you want, but you will never hate yourself into a solution to a problem. Problems require solutions, and solutions are more likely to arise from a circumstance in which someone is demonstrating self-love and self-compassion than a circumstance where someone is hating themselves and self-loathing. Would you rather be tackling problems with a high self-esteem or a low self-esteem? What does it take for you to get to that perspective? Think long and hard about this. And again, you deserve this. You don't deserve to hate yourself. You deserve a good life. And having a good life requires loving yourself. I gotta say, everybody has their own, what I would call compassion plan, their own compassion program of action. What self-compassion looks like for you may look a little different than what it looks like for me. I will tell you a little bit about mine and what it entails. My compassion plan or program of action is to take my medications every single day, to go to therapy, to go for walks. This trifecta of things works for me in keeping me stable and helping me rationalize problems, to deter myself from catastrophizing and looking at things through a black or white lens, these extremes. I want to be able to look at things rationally because I know what it's like to lose sanity. I've been there. It's not something I want to go through again. And my compassion plan is centered around that particular goal of not wanting to go through mania again. Your compassion plan will be different, without a doubt. Yours might also include similar steps of taking meds or going to therapy or even walking. But yours will serve a different purpose, and you'll be doing these things differently than I do. You might take different medications. You'll be seeing a different therapist than I do. You'll be walking different amounts that I do in different areas that I do, for different purposes than I do. For me, taking my meds keeps me stable. It keeps me grounded. It puts me in a position where I'm most likely to be successful in my life endeavors and pursuits. My medications improve the probability of me being able to attain my goals because instead of having to worry with fear and doubt about losing control of myself, I can focus on achieving things for myself, improving things for myself even more. But if I don't have command of my basic, essential intellectual faculties, then all is lost. That's a ground zero position. It's a situation where does anything truly really matter if you lost control of your sanity? That's the perspective that I have as someone who's lost his sanity before. Therapy is a coping mechanism for me. It's an opportunity to vent about what's going on. I feel like it's controlled and helped mitigate the severity and frequency of my racing thoughts because when I have things on my mind, I really want to get them out to somebody, and that's what therapy does. So instead of allowing these thoughts to build up and build up, I acknowledge them, I share them, and I discuss and get feedback on them from a licensed professional. And it works great for me, maybe not so well for others, but it's definitely worth a try if you haven't gone about it yet. I will speak positively about the benefits of therapy till the end of my life because I've seen it have such positive benefits in my life, but I understand it's not for everyone. So then the last thing I shared as part of my compassion plan or program of action, my trifecta, is walking. I've done this my entire life, and I know it may not seem like it because I'm not exactly in prime physical shape right now. I do weigh 300 plus pounds. That was due to the depressive episode that followed my manic episode, during which I overate, socially isolated, and trialed and errored with a bunch of different medications, some of which had, or I should say many of which had light or moderate weight gain as a side effect. But I've always been walking at some point. I've been walking, well, forever, but I've been walking for the purpose of exercise and clearing my mind since approximately my high school years. It would help me deal with what at the time were probably isolated hypomanic episodes. I can't say for certain because I wasn't diagnosed at the time, but there were many pivotal moments in my high school academic experience where I would go extended periods without sleep, and I would be talking really fast and just putting way too much on my plate than is possible to manage, and just really demonstrating a lot of the symptoms of hypomania. And the reason I bring that up is just because even though I wasn't diagnosed till years later, it's still something that I feel like existed beforehand, right? So in high school, I would walk. I actually had a provision in my 504 plan, my individual learning plan, which allowed me to take a walk outside once per day around the building, and I would do that. I took full advantage of that. It was highly beneficial to me to be able to do that, to clear my head. It would help alleviate some of the stressors, reduce some of the anxiety that I was feeling on any particular day. Some days were worse than others, but I took advantage of it whenever I was in school. That's another story. At university, I really did the same thing. It was a stress management technique. It was a means for me to really wind down, and in college I would eventually get into really good physical shape. And when I was in really good physical shape, I did it to stay in really good physical shape. While I was manic, I did it because I had so much pent-up energy that I couldn't focus directly on any given thing. And so walking was a way to exert and use this pent-up energy that I had. All this excess energy that was just in my mind. I had to get rid of it. I had to walk, 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 walk. Which is why on my phone you would see anywhere from 15 to 30 miles walked on any given day. Not an exaggeration. I can't imagine myself doing that much walking today, and I don't think it would be beneficial or healthy to do that much walking today, but I still try to do it on a limited scale today. Now that I'm in a place where I'm stable, I would still say I'm in recovery, and I will say that till the day I'm gone, because there is the probability that another manic episode could occur, another depressive episode could occur. Heck, even in my last video, I talked about how I experienced an acute mixed episode just this semester, in the month of October 2025. And I missed about a month of classes, right? Well, maybe like 2.5 to 3 weeks of classes, but close to a month of classes, right? So my compassion plan right now has been utilizing these same things that I've been doing for years. And in the long run, they've worked and produced results for me. And I hope they'll produce results for you, whether it be the walking, going to therapy, if that applies to you, or taking meds, if that applies to you. Everyone's situation is different. But develop your own compassion plan. Think about coping mechanisms that would be useful to you. Do research online. Ask others. How do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? People want to engage socially. Controversial statement coming from an introvert, I know. But believe it or not, people do have a desire to socially interact with others, to have a sense of belonging, to have a sense of peer approval. And what better way to do that than to seek advice to someone? It feels great when someone seeks your advice and they say, hey, what do you think of this? Or hey, give me your opinion on that. It makes you feel useful and professional and smart and like you have worth to provide to the world. Not saying that your self-worth should come exclusively from that. It definitely should not, but you get my point. So in summary, you can't heal yourself with the same mindset that got you sick. Self-hatred destroys self-esteem. There's a distinction between self-discipline and self-punishment. You do not deserve pain. You do not deserve hatred. You deserve your love and all the benefits that come with it. Develop your own compassion plan, your own compassion program of action, whatever you prefer to call it, or you could devise your own name as well. That specifically helps you love yourself, appreciate yourself, and put yourself in a stronger position to succeed, whatever success may look like to you. Thank you all for watching. My name is Tyler Adolfo. Peace, love, light, and tranquility to all.